Oh, hello.
It's a good skylight. Hey everyone, welcome back. It is day 7, although it doesn't feel like day 7 for us because it's been some time in between day 6 and day 7. Why?
Well, we got married.
We did.
Which was really exciting. A really great day.
Yeah, it was great. It was such a lovely day, and we had a lot of time beforehand planning the wedding, or I did anyway, and lots on our mind. So, and like with the van as well, we had that on our mind. So there's lots going on, but last week we just completely switched off and spent a week in Hamilton Island for our honeymoon, and our second week of our honeymoon is tackling some more of this project. So
if you're looking for a tropical getaway, would really recommend it.
Get a golf buggy.
Yeah.
Cruise around. That
Lay
was
by
fun.
the pool.
Lay by the pool. Go snorkeling.
So the last thing we did was sound deadening on the inside, and we didn't do it before and after in terms of the noise, but I guess there's a bit of an update. That made a massive difference in terms of the road noise. And the other thing was the floor and the insulation as well. That made a big difference as well. So it's a lot more pleasant in the cab when we're driving. It's still quite noisy, but yeah, the floor and the insulation made a big difference, and then the sound deadening as well also made a really noticeable difference in terms of that sort of tinny, rattly noise. It's yeah, a lot nicer to be in the car. I think that's just going to get better as we fill out the walls and fit it out further.
Yeah, but the second half of today, which is right now, we're going to have to make use of the sun, because apparently tomorrow it's meant to be raining, and then the next day, and hopefully that's it. But if we're going to cut holes in the van, probably need to get into action and actually make it happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're going to fill this van with water.
Yeah, so today's plan is to fit the Maxx Air Fan, or Maxx Fan, whatever it's called.
I'd pick it up, but I can't.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at that and yeah, run through how we're fitting that. So we got the Maxx Fan Deluxe, and I'm just going to run through what came in the box if you've never seen one. I guess we went with this because, I don't know, a lot of people seem to use them and give them good reviews, and I've seen people use other brands and then take them out and put one of these in. So yeah, essentially I'll show you what's in the box. This is the main part of the fan. There's a few controls on here. I'm not sure if it's got automatic opening or not, but you can manually open it as well. But yeah, that is the bit that sits on the roof essentially. This is the flange that sits on the roof. So it sits that way, and then the fan screws into that. So that sits on the top of the roof. And then this piece slots in from underneath. I think you can trim that down if you need to. But yeah, that basically fits in and gives you a nice tidy finish. It also comes with a remote as well, so you can control things like the speed, and I think you can control whether it opens or not. I'm not actually even sure if it's got automatic opening, but that's pretty much what comes in the box. So let's cut a hole in the roof. In terms of placement, there's pretty much just one spot on the roof that we can put our Maxx Fan. That's just when you think about the roof ribbing that we have, the supports on the inside, as well as the solar panels that we have, because we've got 3 panels we're going to put on. We've also got the shower over here that's going to have a vent above it as well, so we're pretty restricted. This is pretty much the spot here that we can fit it, and that's also, I'm trying to avoid having to do any sort of funny business with making custom sort of frames to mount or to follow the contours of the ribbing. This is pretty much the only spot on the roof that will fit the fan without having to do any sort of custom trim to support it, and any sort of additional caulking or butyl tape around it or anything like that. So it's all a flat surface that I'm working with. I've just made a bit of a cardboard template here that sort of mimics the flange there. For the fan we need a 355 by 355 mil square cutout, and that's what the inside of this is as well. So that's just helping me place where I'm going to mark my hole out. just marked a couple of initial corner points using my template. I've also marked in underneath where the rib is that supports the roof, but I'm just using those as a guide, and then I'm going to measure them up properly, make sure it's all square and I've got the minimum cutout size that I need. Then I'm going to mark it up.
So do you put it on the line so that when you cut this, the metal doesn't...
Just to try and get a bit of a cleaner finish on the metal when I cut it. Well, we're at the point of no return. A little bit scared. Yeah, got it all marked out. I've got a box underneath to catch any of the metal filings and anything that falls through. I'm just going to drill out a couple of the corners and then cut it out with the jigsaw.
Mark fly off your leg first.
Bye.
Oh. It's in the box.
Well, I lined the box up well then.
Yeah.
Well, moment of truth. Is it going to fit? Well, that fits in there perfectly.
Woo! Hole number 1 cut. Tick. Now we have to do
one.
Huh?
I was like this. With that all cut out, I'm just going to give it a file down and then a bit of a light sand. Prep that with some paint. I'm also going to get rid of all the metal filings that are on the roof as well, because they're just going to, as soon as moisture gets on those, they're going to start rusting. So make sure get rid of all of those. Yeah, that's about it for now. We're now ready to install the flange on the roof. I've masked up the area. I've also cleaned it up with some wax and grease remover. I'm going to be using Sikaflex Marine Grade 291 as the sealant, the screws that came with it as well. A couple of things as well I'll mention. I just sanded down the edges of this flange ever so slightly on the 2 outer edges, just to get it to fit nice and flush between those ribs. I've also made up a plywood frame to screw this down through. Also keep in mind that the fan screws in a certain way, so the mounting points, while it is a square and it'll fit that way, the mounting points are on the sides. I've also just had to adjust these little brackets that the screws go into, just so that they lined up when the fan was mounted as well. So in addition to the Sikaflex, I'm also going to put some Eternabond tape around there. It just hasn't arrived yet, but once it has and once the Sika's dried, I'm going to put that around as an extra barrier as well. So with the fan, we're installing it with the opening to the back just so it doesn't catch the wind while we're driving, and also just going to drop the cables in through the flange as well.
Oh. Yay! There, go.
That's all installed now. This is what it looks like from the inside. So I've trimmed up some of the screws on this framing. So the framing that I put in here was just to give the screws something to bite into and basically tighten down. None of that will be visible. So this sort of interior flange will sit in that groove, and like where the ceiling will sit, that'll sit flush. So yeah, it'll give it a really nice finish around it. Still have to wire that in when we get around to that. So that goes into our 12-volt system. But yeah, overall, it was a relatively straightforward thing. The biggest pointers I can say is just planning where you're going to put it and then double checking the measurements before you cut it. In terms of, yeah, the fan, I had a bit of a look. I think it's got a automatic opening, but you can also do it with this manual. So just twist that and it opens up. It gives us some permanent ventilation as well, which we need for our gas install. So we need high point ventilation, so that will give us some of that high point minimum area that we need. Not all of it, but yeah, some of it. But yeah, that's the Maxx Air Fan for now, until we get around to pretty much doing the final touches on it. It's been absolutely pouring down for hours now. It's sort of eased off, but you can still hear it. But so far, the Maxx fan has been holding up pretty well. There's no leaks there at all. I'm still going to put that Eternabond on there just as some extra insurance against leaks. But yeah, so far pretty happy.